Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Franchise Tag Overtime. I am Gareth Smith, and today I'm joined by a very, very special guest, Hall of Fame Green Bay Packers legend Leroy Butler. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing very well, very well. It's a little cold here, but it's all good.
Yeah,
Cold.
no, we're supposed to have some like windstorm hit us at some point in the next like 24 hours in the UK, 100-mile-an-hour winds and all that.
Ooh.
So that's going to be interesting to see what happens over here. Um, as a nation, we're not built for bad weather. So yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah,
Particularly, obviously, bearing in mind Green Bay, where you're famous for playing, obviously, but being a Florida boy at heart. How
yeah.
did you find moving from like the likes of the Sunshine State and playing in those northern conditions?
Well, I got used to it real quick, I tell you that. But I just think the fan base is second to none, and that
Oh,
fan base, I mean, they're just so warm. And my wife is from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, so
okay.
I think for the most part, we use it as an advantage. Back in the '90s when we played, teams coming up from Tampa, from the East Coast, West Coast, when it's, you know, 15 below, we use it to our advantage, most definitely.
And obviously, you've had a hell of a career. The jersey, the icon on your top that you're wearing right now shows the level of career you had. So, as a Hall of Fame player, what would you say would be your iconic moments within your career?
Of course, it would be the Lambeau Leap was amazing back
Yes.
in 1993. Playing in two Super Bowls and we won one, but if you as a NFL player, I mean that's the pinnacle of your life. If you make it to a Super Bowl, you get at least 100 million people watch you,
Yeah.
and to win it is truly amazing, especially for a franchise like the Green Bay Packers. Because I only played for one franchise, so
Yeah.
when I think about my career and where I came from, so I say holding up that Lombardi Trophy and his name Lombardi after somebody that's part of the Green Bay Packers was amazing.
And obviously, I don't know how much you're aware of the fan base over here. The Packers is a very, very popular team over here in the
Oh yes,
UK.
yes. We were over there a
And
couple of years ago. We played
when you
the
play the
Giants in
Giants,
London. Yep,
I was at that game. I was
yep.
at that game. It was a game that because I'm an Eagles fan, I was very much rooting for your guys to win that one. Because don't want to see the Giants win, and never do I.
Right.
It was the closest thing we've had to a true home game atmosphere here in
Yes.
the UK. Because every other game you go to, there is normally a bit of home and away support, and then there's everybody else wearing their various team jerseys. But that one felt like a true home game. The
Yeah,
Packers fans
absolutely.
came over en
Yes.
masse, and it was amazing to see. For a place like Green Bay, not one of your biggest places in America, how has it become such an iconic place for football? When you consider the size of Green Bay compared to, say, a New York or Los Angeles, how's
Yes.
Green Bay become such an iconic place to
Well,
play football?
history wise, because we're the only team that don't have an owner. Our
Yeah,
owner are our fans. They're the shareholders. So it's kind of unique way. So
yeah,
in the history of it, if you look at in Green Bay, it's just football. It's just the
yeah,
Packers. If you want to see basketball and baseball, you got to go to Milwaukee, and that's where I live now. But when you get to 1265 Lombardi Avenue, it's just the Packers.
yeah.
So it's just all these people from outside the state, inside the state come on just history grounds, and they like that fabric of being a shareholder, and it's amazing.
And it is truly amazing. The atmosphere does almost feel like second to none in the NFL, because particularly bearing in mind when you literally will see what looks like people's gardens and you see this massive stadium just
Yeah,
looming large over
yeah,
people's houses. It's just looks completely unique in the game with
yeah,
how Green Bay is. And the fan base is obviously always been notorious for being one of the more passionate fan bases, and they
Yes.
have been rewarded down the years with some truly great teams. Obviously, the quarterbacks that Green Bay have had back to back to back. What is it about Green Bay being able to find these truly iconic quarterbacks? What is the secret that they have?
Well, you got first of all, you gotta have some guts because when you the thing about Ted Thompson, well, even Ron Wolf was my general manager. Tom Bratz was the general manager that drafted me, but Ron Wolf always wanted to get a quarterback before he needed one.
Yeah,
But once you need one, you're under a lot of pressure. I mean, because they don't always turn out like Jalen Daniels of the Commanders. There's some
well played.
growing pains there. So we let the growing pains, like from Brett or from Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love, for 2 to 3 years, and then you're ready to go in your third year. So we've always done that. And I think we'll continue to do that, even though Jordan is a young man. I mean, at some point, they'll try to get his successor so you'll be good now and in the future.
And if you look at Green Bay now, obviously a team that still a very young team at the moment. I think they
Yeah.
are one of the youngest teams
The
out there.
youngest team for the second
Yeah,
year in a row. Yep.
it's incredible to see what making back-to-back playoffs that they've got.
Yeah.
What do you currently make of the current Green Bay team? And do you think success is going to be coming back to Green Bay again very, very soon?
Well, I'll tell you this year, um, Detroit Lions were shot out of a cannon. And
Yeah,
then Minnesota, there's another team. So the best teams were in your division. So it was three teams made the playoffs, and all three got beat in the playoffs.
yeah,
So I tell people all the time, just because you got a great record don't mean that you're going to the Super Bowl. It doesn't matter your seeding, to be honest with
yeah,
you. But if you'd have told me that Matt LaFleur, the head coach, with the youngest team in the league, that means it's going to be a lot of frustration when you have a real young team. But they were able to go and make the playoffs for the second year in a row. And they've had their chances to, put teams away, but you have to learn that now. So this guy's next year they may even be even younger. You just don't know. And you just hope these guys grow up. It's like on the job training. You're
yeah.
pretty good, but the guy who's been there for a while, like the Kansas Cities, those teams, they're a little bit further ahead.
And obviously, you look at the team now, and I think the Eagles game particularly, they were so injured during that game. It was
Yes.
a physical game because obviously the Eagles themselves are quite a physical team and a tough tackling team. It was one of them where it was almost like you didn't want to go through because who you'd be fielding a week later might have been quite hard to basically get a starting team out. So it was a tough game for them, that one. But to be fair to them, they never disappeared. They never went out quietly, which is a good sign for a Green Bay team because end of the day they are playing for their owners, which is everybody connected with the
Yeah.
team. Uh, so we'll go back into your playing career a little bit. And obviously, you mentioned earlier about the Lambeau Leap, which now it
Mhm.
is a part and parcel of being a Green Bay player. Every Green Bay player now wants to do their own Lambeau Leap at some point. How did that come about for yourself? And like you thinking of doing that to go and do you know what those fans over there? I'm gonna jump in and say hi.
It was all spontaneous. I'd never thought about it. I've never told nobody about it. It's just kind of one of those like things. I cause a fumble. Reggie White picks it up and he's running. He laterals me the ball and I'm running down the sideline. I just said to myself, I'm gonna jump in the stands because I'm a defensive back. I don't score very much. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't have the speed of Deion Sanders or Darrell Green. So this is amazing to me, and it just spontaneous just happened, and I love it because it's not just me celebrating by myself; it's me with the fans because
Yeah.
I love the fans. Without the fans, we're nobody without the fans.
And so obviously you see it happen pretty much every game now. How proud are you to see that something you did as a spontaneous moment has almost become part of Green Bay folklore and will be done probably forevermore for as long as there's a team in Green Bay, which should be forever.
Yeah, it's been around for like 31 years. I think it'll be there for another 100. but but I did tell some of the guys over the years, if we do it, you're gonna expect teams, visiting teams, if they ever score, they're gonna try to do it to their
Yeah.
fans who are in the stadium, and that has happened a few times. It doesn't go well, but they're still gonna try it. But I just think if they're doing Lambeau leaps, they're winning games. That means they're scoring touchdowns. So I don't think it'll ever go away.
No, and it's, as I say, it's a truly iconic thing, and it's something I think
Yeah,
quite unique to Green Bay. And I know you mentioned other fans do it when they get, other teams do it when they go to the stadium and all the rest of it, but it's not quite as impressive when you're jumping into, say, one or two fans wearing an away
exactly.
jersey compared
Exactly.
to a whole green army behind you also getting involved in the celebration. So we'll also talk obviously about when you found out that you were going to the Hall of Fame, which there's some
Mm.
guys that are finding out fairly soon that that's their destiny. How was that moment for yourself to know that you were going to be have a bust over in Canton and in the Hall of Fame?
It's almost like having a lottery ticket and you just don't know when your number's going to be called. But you know you
Yeah,
never throw away the ticket. And then you realize everybody doesn't get a ticket.
no,
So for me, I waited 16 years, and some guys get in on the first try, but once you're in, you're in.
yeah,
And hopefully Sterling Sharp and Coach Mike Holmgren will get that knock at their house, and because they both deserve to be in it. But there's so many great players.
mm,
So when I thought about my mom raising 5 kids by herself in extreme poverty, growing up in poverty, being a special needs kid,
mm,
and to one day uh, being one of close to 400 guys. And I think over 40,000 people played the game.
yeah,
But my number is 357. And I didn't know what that was. I said, what's the number? Oh, that's the number that they give you assigned to you. Because I looked at my gold jacket. I said, oh,
yeah.
357. So I'm number 357. And I would, if anybody out there listening, if you ever see a Hall of Famer, ask him what his number is. And you'll see his face light up. And it's a big deal.
Well, you actually are the second Hall of Famer I've had on. The first Hall of Famer I had on was Steelers legend Rod Woodson,
Oh,
another
nice.
defender. So,
Nice.
like, that was my first, and to be honest, it was the first interview I ever did. Talk about intimidating. Your first interview being with a Hall of Fame
Yes.
cornerback. But again, he was such a lovely guy on
Yeah,
during
he's
the
amazing.
interview.
He's amazing.
Very generous with his time as well, which was amazing to see. But yeah, you are officially the second Hall of Famer, which we've had
Okay.
on. And I'll be honest, when I told we've got a Packers fan in the franchise tag, when I told him we were getting you on, he was actually quite jealous that I was doing this one. Uh, because he was like, I'll do this one. I'm like, he doesn't do interviews normally. So it's like, no, Adam, you're not just doing an interview. We're not giving you a Hall of Famer for your first. Only I get a Hall of Famer on my first one. Uh, but you obviously mentioned as well, you spent your whole career in Green Bay.
Yeah.
Not many players get to spend their whole career at one team. What kind of connection do you think it gives those players like yourself who have got with the city and the fan base? Because obviously I'm an Eagles fan, and I look at probably Jason Kelsey in the same way that Green Bay
Yeah.
fans look at yourself. How much of a connection does it give you to those fans that you have basically spent your whole career giving your all for them?
I love the players that played uh, with one franchise. I really do. It just, to me, sometimes it's not your fault. The team just trades you away, and sometimes guys want out. Um, but when you say Jason Kelsey, that's why he was one of my favorites. I think he's a Hall of Famer. Um, Looking forward to meeting him one day because he just seemed like his mom, raised him and Travis to be loyal guys. And and Travis obviously he's gonna retire uh, um, Kansas City Chief,
Yeah,
but it's nothing like hearing your name called um, to get drafted, and then hear your name called to be in the Hall of Fame with one team.
yeah,
And I'm not sure I should know this, but one of my favorite players is Brian Dawkins.
yeah.
And
Weapon X. I've got a signed jersey of his that needs to go on the wall over there.
yes, I love Brian Dawkins, man. That's my brother. I mean, I love him. I just, I mean, and again, some guys want to stay, you know, but like you a receiver, a quarterback, running back. It's mostly offensive guys because they're divas. They
Yeah.
always want out. But defensive guys are like, you know what? I don't have to be the highest paid. I just want to get paid. And that's the reason why I love guys who play with one franchise.
And obviously, the defenses nowadays, it seems a lot harder to be a defender this day and
Yeah.
age due to the protection. I think that we can all agree that the offensive players now seem to have. Some of it
Yeah.
I understand, like the hip drop tackle, because the amount of injuries that generated. How much harder do you think it is nowadays to try and be a safety or a cornerback in this league than what it was during your day?
It's difficult, but you're a professional. You can adapt to any rule. But I'll say
Yeah,
this. We used to get blindsided by receivers. They took that
right.
out. They took that,
Yeah,
thank God. And we used to get uh, one guy block you up top, one guy cut you. They got rid of the
yeah,
top block. So they try to average it out, but the offense still got all the rules. Because after 5 yards, you can't touch them. You can't hit the quarterback, which I agree with. You can't hit the quarterback in the knees or in the head because I get it. I mean, you just you just playing a game, but back in the 90s, man, they used to hit Brett everywhere.
yeah.
And very rarely did he get a call, but Brett never complained. He never went to the referee and said, "Hey man, they hit me." He was like, "Oh, don't worry about it." Never missed a game.
And he's also someone who'd normally shout good hit and all that kind of stuff when he would. And he was one of those. He quite enjoyed the battle, I think,
Yes.
Brett Favre,
Yes.
compared to like, particularly compared to some quarterbacks. I think he quite enjoyed that side of the game, which not many quarterbacks do and seem to enjoy that side of the game, which is interesting. Another thing, obviously, that is quite interesting. We're reaching that stage in the season now where it's every game matters.
Yes.
It's is that what Super Bowl, if you had to choose out the four remaining teams left, would be your Super Bowl if you could pick one? Now they've got rid of all the NFC North, so you don't have to worry about a Lions or a Vikings.
Well, I think iconic Super Bowl would be Jalen Daniels.
Yeah,
I think he'd be the first rookie to ever take him to the Super Bowl. And I'm a big Andy Reid guy. I think Andy Reid is the GOAT
yeah,
of the modern day uh, coaches. The guy's amazing. And he'd be the first to ever three-peat. So that would
mm,
separate him. If the Commanders play Kansas City, that'd be the hardest ticket to get in NFL history. I think it'll have over 200 million people watch it. I think it'll be something that you'll say, where were you when that happened? Because two things. If Jalen Daniels is the rookie that stops the three-peat, that's an amazing story.
very much.
But if Patrick Mahomes is the first quarterback with a three-peat, amazing story either
Yeah.
way. So, I mean, the NFL can't lose if those two teams make it. And I think it'll be iconic.
I would be, and I'll be honest with you, on countdown myself now to going over there. So New Orleans franchise tag will be there this year, which is an amazing for us. Obviously, you mentioned there as well that um, the Commanders. If the Commanders get there as well, it also means we've got a British player playing in the Super Bowl this year because F.A. Abada, the
Oh
defensive
yeah,
tackle
yeah.
from the Commanders, is British. So it's always
Oh,
good to
very
have
nice. Very
a
nice.
British contention. But speaking obviously of British and all the rest of it, and obviously the game hasn't half evolved from what it was from back in when you were playing, and the
Mhm.
international games are now part and parcel
Yes.
of the series. Is there any location you wished you had the opportunity to play at
Oh,
when you
that's a
were a
good
player?
question. I would have loved to have played in Australia. Oh
Oh wow,
man. Or in Barcelona. You know, that oh my that would have been amazing.
yeah,
But the NFL, man, I'm gonna tell you, when they had a game in Germany, we talked about London, and the Packers were in Brazil. I mean, they're trying to make it an international game
hmm
to compete with the real football outside the states is soccer, which I think will always be number one because those stadiums are huge and they fill them up. So NFL, I don't think will ever take over soccer globally, but it's gonna try.
oh well. It's and bearing in mind as a British person who loves this sport, the commitment to be a British fan watching American football is
Yes.
something like 5 a.m. The Super Bowl is finishing over here, so it's a Monday morning off work, booking off work job. You can't stay up otherwise. It's making sure that you're well prepared for the really late night. So
Yes.
the UK fans think there's something not quite right about us because we're willing to stay up till silly o'clock in the morning watching the game. Obviously, one last question before I let you go, if that's okay.
Yep,
Obviously, you were someone who went through physical disability and gone on
yep.
to a Hall of Fame career that you had. Is there any message you have for someone who you think that could be having a tough time right now to say that look, you could go on to have the kind of career that you had? Is there any message you would have for someone like who had that?
Yes, I do. I just want to let those people going through any disabilities, or you say you don't really know what you want to be when you grow up, or you don't, you just don't know. Uh, Here's the best advice I'll give you. It's up, it's up to you. It's not up to them.
Yeah,
When people see negative stuff, it ain't up to them. It's up to you. I mean, you got to put your blinders on and say, "This is what I want to do, and I'm going to do it." And you also realize everybody ain't got to like me.
mhm,
They don't. I mean, I'm just happy. Before I make anybody else happy, I gotta make the person that's in the mirror happy.
yeah,
Once that person's happy, I can take all the negative stuff because those are just fans. So once you, because I remember my grandmother saying, God made everybody good at something, but you got to figure out what it is. And what it is, embrace it. And if you want to tell people, fine, but you don't have to. You just know that, oh, I can do that. Do whatever you're good at, not something that uh, I just I don't really like doing it. I'm just doing it because my friends are doing it
yeah,
or somebody suggested it. But I like doing that. Do that. That's where you're gonna make the most money. When you wake up in the morning saying, you know what, I gotta go get it and have
yeah,
fun with it. So whatever you're going through, all you need to be is somebody's one yes. It's a program I'm starting up. I try to be somebody's one yes when I leave every day. Or, or somebody think about how many no's you get.
yeah,
Tons of them. But when you get that one yes, you're like, wow. So it could be you could be at a place buy somebody some coffee or something. And some of them will say, no, you don't have to do that. Wait. I ain't doing it for you. I'm doing it so I can get a blessing. So can I please buy your coffee? Or can I, pump your gas? If if everybody in the world does that, all the negativity stuff is gone.
yeah. Because then a classic example of that is when you see Shaq, like he's well known now for
Yeah.
just buying people's bike or groceries
Yep.
or whatever. Because as he said, he's been blessed. a million times, a billion times over, like how for the career he's had to be
I
the ones that
love
he
Shaq.
wants to.
I just want to be just like him when I grow up.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I
Truly.
wish I could be half his height. That would do me. No.
Me too.
um, s- so obviously, thank you very much for your time today, Leroy.
Thank
What is it you're
you.
doing with yourself now? Obviously, that football is not what you play. It's not your main career. What is it you're doing with yourself these days?
Well, I do it. I got started a company with a good friend of mine, Justin, called August Allen. We are in
Mhm.
the AI,
Oh, nice.
AR world because everything is going to be technology in the future.
Yeah.
So you can just go to my website, LeroyButlerInc.com, and you can see we've been working. We got a lot of pitches out there with companies. We're looking for a couple big sponsors. I have a cooking show called The
Oh,
Butler and the
nice.
Chef that I've developed here in Milwaukee. I have my own vodka, and I just do a lot of speaking engagements. I mean, I do tons of speaking engagements. I'm going to Canton to do a couple next week, and at the end of the month, I'm going to Hawaii to hang out with some of the vets
Nice.
and go to the Super Bowl. But mainly, I just try to stay busy. But anybody want to get in touch with me again, you can. I'm easy to find, and I am looking for companies and people to collaborate with to just kind of develop my story because that's what I ultimately want to do.
Yeah.
I want to do the Leroy Butler story as a documentary and
Oh,
pack
nice.
it up and sell it to Netflix, Hulu, or somebody. But you need revenue for that. So,
Oh, yeah.
any
Yeah.
partners out there looking for that, I'm your guy.
Well, particularly obviously, it's an inspiring story from what you went through to where you got in your career. So it's definitely would be an interesting one to watch. And obviously, this day and age, there's lots of these kind of like documentaries of
Yes.
players. For example, we had the Kurt Warner one. Obviously, very very different story, but how he
Yeah.
basically come through from not really being a drafted to what he went on to be. So it is
Mhm.
obviously these kind of stories are always interesting. I think fans are a lot more interested in these life stories that go around these great names. So definitely would be interesting to see. Hopefully as well, see you in New Orleans then, because we'll be on Radio Row. So come give us a say hello to us while you're there as well. It'll be really good to see you.
Okay.
Uh, but other than that, thank you very much for your time today, Leroy, and I'll see you again soon. And for everyone watching at home, we'll be back soon with another very special guest.
Thank you so much. Bye bye.